All right, now we're live. So sorry about that, Michelle. We had a little bit of the tech gremlins step in and ruin a really good story. So I'm going to make sure that we pick that up right where it left off. But everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters Podcast. Today, we're talking everything that you need to know about local networking and workshops, and how do we turn this into a profitable and exciting and fun growth strategy for cash practice owners. And instead of telling you everything that I know about workshops, which is really all secondhand, I wanted to bring in the best person I know at running local workshops, Dr. Michelle Moore, who is not only a coach on the clinical marketer team, but she's also a keynote speaker at our live events, teaching how do we build fruitful and fun cultures within our communities that create sustainable growth inside of our cash practices. So if you are listening in, make sure to give her some love and appreciation for taking time out of her day and introducing herself twice, because I didn't hit the record button, for being here today and sharing her knowledge and wisdom with each and every one of you. So Michelle, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So before we dive into all of the tactics and the strategies that everyone is just dying to get more of, can you just tell everyone a little bit about you and your backstory?
For sure. My husband, Cameron, and I, we own a cash physical therapy practice in the west side of Phoenix in Goodyear, Arizona. We have built our practice from the ground up and have some unique background that we'll share in a bit about how we chose West Phoenix, and also how we chose to build this community. We're known very well within the community and really proud to serve our community. Our niche market is active individuals, so we treat barbell athletes, CrossFitters, functional fitness athletes within that space. And we also offer pelvic floor services as well within the pregnancy, postpartum, and perimenopausal space. So really proud to offer all of those services under one roof, so we can really look at a person as a whole and be able to work as a team and really serve our community well.
Yeah, I love it. And you were saying before we got everything rolling here that you picked Phoenix in your specific area for a very particular reason. Like, how'd you decide to get started where you're at?
For sure. So Cameron and I went to school here in Goodyear and worked in private practice, and we're well known in the community. We decided to hit the road. A goal of ours was to work as travel PTs, to see the country a bit, a unique opportunity where you're both husband and wife duo, that you could do such a thing. And before we had a family and kids. And so we packed up our house into a RV and traveled the country for 2.5 years. And with that came a unique experience that really led us to saying, hey, we want to go all in on this cash practice. It was in the back of our mind, but we were working in traditional insurance-based clinics. And we started to find that as we were traveling, we were working out at local CrossFit gyms, and the athletes were looking for a different standard of care. They didn't want to wait 2 weeks to get a referral, then to come in to only be seen for 15 minutes before you then pass them off. And we knew that we could do better than watered down care. Mm-hmm. So as we were working on solving this problem, we thought, hey, you know what? Let's create a side hustle while we are traveling and see if this thing really works. This was back in 2017, 2018. So a bit before some of the big times of Cash PT. And so it's a bit of a new undertaking. And so what we did is, at the gyms that we were at, we built a strong relationship with the owners, with the members, and people started coming to us with their problems. And we said, hey, you know what? We can help you. Let's come in before work, after work, on the weekends, and started to create this business. But what we found was we moved every 3 to 6 months. So every time we then integrated back into the community and learned some of those really key strategies to then be able to start up our side hustle, serve that community, and then move on to the next spot. So got really good at forming relationships quickly.
Yeah.
With that. And then as we were looking for where we wanted to open our own practice, we had such a following here in West Phoenix, and we're really excited to come back to serve within our community.
Yeah, getting back to home base had to feel pretty comfortable after just having a little bit of instability, I'd imagine, just having to move around all the time. But like, also, what an adventure and what a blessing that you two got to experience that.
Oh, so many cool memories from that. So very grateful for that.
I bet. And maybe that's a whole nother thing that eventually people like want to learn more about. Like, how do I do that? If I don't want to start my cash practice, like, how can I just go mobile for a while and explore the world? Because there's so many people who feel a little bit trapped right now. But that is a conversation for another time.
Yeah, let's chat that.
what I'm curious about, regarding what you just said, is having to move around so much and quickly build these relationships with. Was it always gyms, or was it other businesses too?
Always gyms. And it wasn't like we were trying to build it. It was just to solve a problem and to serve the people that we were, rubbing elbows with and sweating with. Or
Yeah.
instead of saying, hey, you got to get a referral in order to come in for your insurance to cover this, for me to see you for 15 minutes. You're like, hey, let's see on Saturday morning before the WOD or after the WOD. And so it was within the space of the CrossFit gym. So it was a single CrossFit gym that we were working out of, and a means to just help people.
Nice. And I'm going to ask you in just a second, like, how did you build those relationships? Like, I want to know what that journey looked like and what strategies you found worked the best to build those relationships quickly with so much competition out there fighting for these gym owners' attention and respect. But right now, running workshops and building like community within your area, like at what level is that like the main driver for your business right now? Like, what have you been able to accomplish just by focusing on workshops in your business?
Sure. So for the first, we traveled. So we had our business 2018, 2020. That was when we were traveling. And so we only used workshops and relationships to build that little side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And then from 2020 until we started working with Clinical Marketer in 2023, that is how we built our business to 4 PTs over 3 years, is solely by running workshops. We were actually really intimidated by Facebook ads, and we had ran a few of them. They weren't super successful, and so we kind of just shied away from them. It was something that we knew that we needed to probably do to diversify our lead sources. But for the first 3 years, we ran a crap ton of workshops, and I love it. I love being in the community. I love educating people. I get this energy. Like afterwards, I'm like, dang, that was awesome. I helped a lot of people. And whether they chose to work with us or not, like that was really something that I'm passionate about. And I think along those lines, and we can get more into this, but I think is when you find people that you want to serve, where they're hanging out and what you're passionate about, the relationship is authentic and fun. Versus like this grind of, dang, I've got to go into this gym that I'm not super excited about. When it is something where it's like, dang, that was fun. Like I feel energized after that. I really helped people. That's what I went into the profession for, was to help people.
Yeah.
And I think people can see that, and that authenticity is what then drives people to want to work with you when you are there to help them and you're passionate about what they're doing. And then say, hey, you know what? I have this problem that I haven't been able to figure out on my own. I want to work with you because I like you. I trust you now because you've helped me, and I didn't give you anything in return. It was not a transactional relationship. It was, hey, I am running this free workshop in order to help you, teach you how to take care of your body. And the people that need additional help, and when they have a problem that they can't solve, I'm their go-to person. And so I think that is an important component of relationships, is being authentic and finding who the people that you want to serve. Like if you don't want to treat CrossFit athletes, don't need to market there. Like try the people that you want to serve and build your business around that. If you love jujitsu, get over there. If you love runners, let's find those people. It also makes going to work a lot more fun because you're working with the people. I treat a lot of my friends. It's like hanging out all day. And that is what's fun. And that's what builds this fruitful relation, or this business, is when you are working and serving the people that you enjoy and that you're passionate about helping.
Yeah, I love that, because I do get the sense that a lot of people, they struggle with not only like building a true connection with the person they're trying to network with, but really struggle to build and grow their business because they're so focused on the transactional elements of it that they don't have that passion and that magnetism, which is what makes people want to work with you in the first place. And so let's talk a little bit about that. So obviously, like finding the people that can't, not just the people who can refer to you, but the people you would truly enjoy working with. Like, how do you find these people? Like, how do you start out in finding out like who we should even network with before we even start the networking?
Yeah, and I think it is, what are you yourself passionate about? And for us, it was something where it just was like such a natural development. We were in the CrossFit gym. People were saying, dang, I can't do kicking pull-ups today because my shoulder's hurting. Or, oh, I don't deadlift because I have a 10-year history of low back pain, and my MRI says X, Y, and Z. And you're like, hey, you know what? I can help you. Instead of doing that, why don't you do this? And it's about giving little tidbits of information instead of just being like, hey, well, if you want my help, come in and pay me to help you. So it's like those little things. Hey, your elbow's hurting. You may try X, Y, and Z. Maybe do a little smash with the barbell on it. See if that helps. If that doesn't help, my office is right across the way here. I'd be happy to help you with something a little bit more formal where we can really get into what's causing that. But really giving first. And offering little tidbits along the way. And that also showcases your knowledge. You're like, damn, she's smart. I smashed my elbow with a barbell. It didn't hurt, but it did come back. And she did say it might come back. So we might need to get to the root cause of that. But she knows how to modulate or to change my symptoms. I trust her because she helped me without anything in return. And now I want to go see her to really solve this for good. So it is about giving and showcasing how you can help people. And same thing along the lines with workshops too. It's not just this informational, like, come learn all the anatomy about your low back and why it hurts. But hey, if your low back hurts when you're deadlifting, come to our workshop. And then we're saying, okay, let's look at the strength. Let's look at this. Hey, we did this activation and now my back doesn't hurt when I hinge. Wow, that was a really cool in-session change. They showed me how they can help me without getting anything in return and how I want to go work with them. So I think that is a common theme of giving before you're asking. I think the same thing with relationships too, is when you're dropping into gyms, nobody wants to say, we're all business owners. And then when someone says, hey, can I have an hour of your time? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like, we are all busy and we're all trying to build our businesses. So instead of approaching a relationship with what can you do for me, turn the tables and say, hey, how can I support you? What are your members struggling with? Hey, a lot of people have some shoulder pain right now. I'd love to learn some ways that we could teach them how to take care of their shoulders a little bit better. Awesome. Hey, we have a lot of pregnant women right now in our classes and our coaches don't quite know how to modify those exercises. Hey, let's get a pelvic floor PT in there and let's do a workshop in order to educate your trainers or to teach this space here. So I think in that relationship, it is how can I help you? And building that relationship that way before it's about me. And when that is genuine, it is that then builds this trusting relationship that then leads into how that can build your business as well too. Along those lines too, what we found with workshops is when you get the owner and the coaches to trust you, they're the trusted person in that space. So when you build this really strong, authentic relationship, as soon as the owner says, dang, you got to check out that pelvic floor and core workshop, like this therapist, she knows her stuff. As soon as they get that stamp of approval, our attendance skyrockets. So we've had workshops literally sell out to where we need to open another workshop because there's so many people that were interested as soon as that person gave that stamp of approval from a trust. So I think there's a quote about sales being about trust and a transfer of trust as well too. So it is when you focus on building trust and helping people, then that becomes a bit more of an authentic piece to relationship instead of just the, hey, I want to run a workshop here in order to build my business. That feels a lot different to somebody.
Yeah. And that's a delicate dance because you want to make sure that it is truly authentic. You want to give value. But some people, they never really go for the ask. They don't know how to progress the relationship and the trust that they've built towards a relationship that's also going to serve their business. So as you're giving this value and as you're building this trust, like when and how do you go for the ask to run a workshop?
I think it depends on how the leading goes. It's kind of like, in a sense, dating, right? It's like some relationships you can't hustle. Sometimes you like hit it off with them right away and you're like, all right, let's freaking do this. For example, this maybe kind of just show how this whole progression would work. So there is a new gym in our town and they started following us on social media. And I followed them back and said, hey, welcome to the area. So excited for you guys to be here. We'd love to help support your business as it grows in any way possible. Just with social media. And then from there, I started communicating with the owner. She's just opening this business, right? She is, laying herself on the line and dang, a business is saying, hey, how can I help raise you and bring you into our space here? And from that, it was, I haven't even met her. It was, my gosh, we want to collaborate with you guys. We'd love for you to come to our opening event. We'd love to get workshops going with you guys. Like, we'd love to work together. Just from a simple Instagram of how can I help you? that doesn't always happen like that, but that was a quick one. And then from there, that even led into us meeting our new administrative assistant and personal trainer as well, that networking of that event. So it's really interesting how some like a short game of just a little message can then create this bigger bubble of networking that way. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it is also getting a little bit of grind, supporting their business. So when you're going in, sometimes we'll even do like a few drop-ins, and it's strategic. It's like, okay, I want to find out where the head coach or the owner when they're coaching. So I want to drop into that class. Always support their business. They might say, hey, you can drop in for free. Nope, I value your business and I want to support you. Right? You building the trust that way. And you start talking with them after class. Hey, how'd you get into coaching? All these different things. Why did you open your business? What struggles are you having? And that sometimes on the first drop in, that can then lead into, hey, you know what? We offer complimentary workshops in the community. We love to teach people how to take care of their bodies. We would love to support your members and teach them how to take care of whatever it is that they're struggling with. Let me know if you ever want to get one of those on the books. Like, yeah, that's awesome. Or sometimes it takes, you know what, I'm going to drop in a few times, maybe going to meet some other coaches, start striking up the conversation. In the meantime, I often pick up evals just from dropping into gyms. I start chatting with people like, wow, like you were super strong on those shoulder to overheads. And like, yeah, you know what, but I dropped down a little bit of weight because my shoulders have been bugging me. And, you know, just starting some of those conversations of chatting with people afterwards, that's a little bit different than saying, I'm the PT in the area. I want to, you know, have all your business come see me. Right? It's just some of those little conversations at the very, very easiest is, hey, that was a hard workout. Thanks so much for the push on those burpees or whatever. And then you can kind of lead into that way. But I think some of those like strategic, sometimes you build it a little bit more. How to drop-ins, or even say, hey, you know what, I'd love to catch the owners sometime if they're here. You know, I love to run, you know, a workshop to help them, teach them how to take care of their athletes. And then also the value of to keep their paying members in the gym, right? Is that people are getting injured and leaving, then their income source is dropping down as well, too. So some little strategies that way. But I think sometimes it's a bit of like the boots on the ground of doing some of those strategic. It's not like, okay, every day, all day you need to do drop-ins, but it's strategic. And it's not check the box either, where you just like go, you're a wallflower, and then you scoot out of there real quick, right? It is about the pre and the post and, you know, putting yourself into their environment and starting that conversation and chatting with them that we found to be fruitful.
I love it. So I'm curious, how many gyms are you a member of?
So we have, I usually do like a drop-in or like a punch card at a lot of different places. And as we bring on PTs, we look at, hey, you know, we haven't been over to that gym in a while. Let's get you a punch card there. Maybe once a week, you want to go drop in at there as part of your ring up period as well. And then it is, hey, we're starting to cultivate that. Maybe we haven't been over at that gym in a while. And then that is strategic to say, hey, you know what? We'd love to get back in here and run another workshop. Like, oh yeah, that back one you ran was so awesome. Now we'd love to do a shoulder workshop or a knee workshop or whatever it is that way. So just some strategic thoughts on getting in front of that community. But it's now where we have integrate ourselves so well that we've become that kind of go-to person and people know us. So it's like, hey, you know, we're running this event and we're getting invited to go to these different things. Like we'll do a tune-up table here, recovery session there. So it is not just also about the short game of running one workshop there, but also that long game of how does that relationship then blossom over the 4 years that we've been in business here, and I don't have to do a workshop or drop in at these gyms all the time now because they know me. And then it's like, hey, we're doing this event. Do you want to pop over here? And we're their go-to person.
Nice. I love that. Now, when you're like doing these drop-ins, and it sounds like just you kind of like spread the love across multiple locations, what are some of the like biggest mistakes that you may have made or someone on your team has made, or that you just think people make when they're making those drop-ins to try to build those relationships and get those workshops scheduled? Any advice?
I think about coming in with an agenda right away, right? So as you're like, you want to give the gym a heads up that you're coming. Hey, I'd love to drop in to get a workshop in, but you don't need to show all of your cards, or not a workshop. I don't want to drop in to get a workout in. You don't need to show all of your cards of, hey, yeah, I want to build this relationship so that we can help you and you can also help us as well. But as a business owner ourselves, if someone said like, I want to come by to talk to you about cleaning your windows, you're like,
thank you.
I don't have time for that, right? So we know that entrepreneurs and business owners are busy. So when you're asking them to set aside their precious time, it's probably going to be a no right away. Right. But if instead you can be strategic about the time frame, like I said, of okay, where's the head coach? Where is the owner coaching? Yeah. And can I hit that class? Then you can catch them before or afterwards. You also want to look at the schedule and see, okay, if there's back-to-back classes, just like us PTs, when you have back-to-back clients, you don't have time to chit-chat in between because you're thinking about the next. Yeah. So it is, hey, where is there a natural gap? And maybe there's going to then be an opportunity for me to go up, at the very least, thank them for letting you drop in at their gym. And then that can start the conversation. You can also kind of read if they're like ready to buzz out of there, shutting the lights off, probably not the time to
read the room. Yeah.
Right. So I think it is the intro to start with, right? Like just drop in, like don't say all the things, just say, hey, I'd love to come in for a workout. What's that process look like? Can I buy a session? Can I buy a punch card? Like, how does that look like?
And do you announce yourself as like a business owner in town?
Nope. Just fly under the radar a little bit, right? It's like when you think about like when you know someone's trying to sell something to you, right? It's like if even like, you go to those community events, everyone has a booth and the person like is coming up to you and you're like, turn your head and kind of like walk away. You know, it's like sometimes you just like don't want to be bothered, right? So it is like, I think I think it's better to do it in person too. So I'll do that after the class. Hey, you know what? Thanks for the workout X, Y, and Z. And Michelle, my husband, and I own a physical therapy practice here in town. And then kind of turn it back to them. I'm not going to like go into my whole speech. Right. Then, how did you get into coaching X, Y, and Z? And they're like, hey, wait a minute, tell me more about that. We do have some people that are injured, go back to that. So just kind of drop like little things along the way instead of this big, like, I'm here to, build my business out of your business type of thing. And that's never our intention anyways. It's so much more than that. Is even if I go to a space and I've helped people and I don't get anybody in return, that is a win to me as well. Because some also know we recently we had a workshop at a gym. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out. We tag all these people so we can keep track of who came in from where. And a year later, someone from a workshop said, hey, you know what? I want to come in for an evaluation. Yeah. Right. And so it's one of those where it is something where when you help people, then that can continue to cultivate the relationship later as well too.
Yeah, law of reciprocity. Just give. I love that. So it sounds basically like what you're saying is like, one, I think the really looking at their schedule, finding the right time, making sure that they're not stacked up, so you'll have a couple minutes to talk to them. But instead of approaching them with a pitch, it's almost like you're approaching them with an entrepreneurial curiosity of like, hey, I'm also a business owner. Like, when did you get into this? Like, what drove you to do it? And then, is there anything that you're struggling with? I know we're dealing with this. Like, what are you struggling with? And is there anything we can do to support you? Because I think entrepreneurs, we're all like lonely, no matter how successful like the business is. It's a lonely game because no one fully understands like what we put ourselves through. And I think positioning yourself like that is really smart because it makes them want to open up to you because you understand the problems that they have too, regardless of like what level they're at.
For sure.
I love it.
Much so. I'd love to like create like an entrepreneur group in our community in the sense that like I feel like this space of like 20 to 30-year-olds, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are coming about, and it is you are putting it on the line to support yourself and your family and whatnot. A little bit different than people that have like worked the grind and are financially maybe sad or whatnot, and 40s and 50s. Whereas like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm supporting my family with this. And you can see some different, is a little bit more relatable than someone that has kind of worked through a different sense of things, just different life stages as well too. Right. So Yeah, I love to, that's something I'm super passionate about too.
I love it. Yeah, and it's needed everywhere. I've thought about launching one here in Milwaukee too, out of like my own like little selfishness, because it's like I want to be around other people that I can like vent to and talk about all of this stuff too, because no one really gets it. So I think that'd be a really good idea for us to do in any city. But for the people who are just getting started, you managed to grow your business to the point where you had 4 people on your team just using workshops. Tell us a little bit about the volume that you were doing. Like, how often were you doing drop-ins? How often were you doing workshops? Then we'll go into the actual tactics within the workshops.
Yeah, for us, I look strategically at the calendar, and also it depends upon what the need is of the business as well. For example, here in Phoenix, the summers are really hot. People are oftentimes getting out of Dodge and going up north, lots of vacations and whatnot. So I usually, as far as like a strategy standpoint, try to go more like spring and fall, as far as like I like to call like a marketing sprint, where it's okay, I'm going to look at those months and just strategically look at, okay, for these 3 spring months, what is it that I need to do to support my business? I like a 90-day marketing sprint. We did a lot of those when we first started. Is okay, what am I doing each week or each month in order to build my practice? Not just sitting behind the computer screen or sitting in my office like, dang, I need more patients, but let's plan that out. What do those 3 months look like? And let's get after it. So for us, like I wanted to hit 30 in 3 months, 30 marketing efforts. So that may be gym drop-ins, workshops, also, hitting up a local race or whatever it was that way. And so I took the calendar and I literally would plan those things out in order to hit my 30 total. So, 10 per month. With that, I'm saying, all right, I got this, I've got that, where there's some holes in my schedule, because if you don't plan, then it never happens. You should be doing those things, but you didn't plan it. I'm also a numbers and performance driven person. So I'm like, dang it, I'm going to hit that 30 in 3 months, literally a paper calendar. And I would, write it out and get after it that way. So that was when we were in a different space. We didn't have kids yet. And it was like, we went all in, 2 practitioners, stopped traveling, had no other side hustle. Like, here we go with it. So we were ready to hustle in that sense. And so that is, I think, a good way to start off, where you can look at things and plan. Okay, I'm going to plan out my schedule, my days, where I can hit some of these things strategically instead of trying to fit it in after the fact. Because I think a lot of people think that they're busy. Maybe they're seeing 20 people a week, but where are those other 20 hours that you're doing? If we get a little bit organized, I think you can work effectively and efficiently, and also have some of those times to set some of that up. So I would say, like when we first started off, we really hustled with it. And then as we bring on therapists, we have a strategy of, okay, that first 3 months, the ramp up is also our 90-day marketing sprint as well.
Nice.
So, we sit down with the new therapist and we plan those things out. Hey, where are we going to go when, and how are we going to get them ramped up? We are still ramping up our Facebook ads and all of that, but we know that we want to have a diversity in our lead source. And maybe 50% is Facebook leads, but then what's the other 50% of your leads that are coming in? And especially people new to business, this is a free thing to do. It costs your time, but you probably have a little bit more time than you do resources at the moment. So how can you leverage that? There comes a point where you become time poor. And then maybe as you have more resources and the scales tip a little bit more to utilizing more paid ads as well. But I think looking at the strategy of where you're at, and then building from there and what it is that you need. Or, hey, you know what? Our Facebook ads are a little bit down right now. Let's pop a few workshops in there in order to help supplement that lead source.
Right. Now, I want to highlight two of the things that you said that I think are so important. Number one is like, put it on your schedule so that it's not like this bottom of your to-do list item that if you treat it like that, you're going to be too out of energy to do it, versus like if it's on your schedule, you're making time for it. It's not going to feel like this extra thing to do at the end of the day, which if you gave your everything you got into your day, and then this is just an extra thing, you're never going to have the energy to build those relationships and make that actually work. So you're going to be exhausted. I love that. I also love that you put a number to it. Like, I want to have 30 marketing efforts over the next 90 days. And I think that is a really good strategy to help kind of circumvent or prevent a lot of the emotional drain that comes from maybe the first two not working. Because it's like, okay, yeah, the first two shots that I took didn't work out, but it's like I got 28 more to get that win. Whereas like if you're just doing it one at a time without putting a number to it, I think you might get a little bit more demoralized faster. Would you agree to that?
Yep. And I think too, it is like you can't have your foot on the gas all the time because I think that also promotes burnout. But if you know for 3 months, you are going to freaking pedal to the metal with it. You're communicating that with your family or your spouse. You're like, hey, you know what? For the next 3 months, I got to really dial in. I want to push into the next level with this. I think that gives like a condensed effort instead of like pedal to the metal for an unforeseeable amount of time with that.
100%. I love it. Now let's transition a little bit into the actual workshop itself here with our remaining 10 minutes or so. How do you, let's say you did a great job with the relationship, you got the workshop. How do we get butts in seats? How do we get people to actually show up to these things?
Yeah. I think there are a few things. One, we mentioned that trust and relationship with the owner. Again, if they give it their stamp of approval, that is huge when they're saying, hey, you got to go to that workshop, which that is a little bit harder to build, but you're not going to say, hey, could you announce it in class and whatnot? But if the owner truly believes that this is going to be awesome, so that going back to how we talked about cultivating that relationship. But I think also it's preparation as well. We have a whole timeline of how we market the event. 6 weeks before is a save the date. 4 weeks before is more information on it. Doing all the work for the gym as well. The gym owner doesn't have time to create social media posts and do all these things. So say, hey, I've got everything. You don't need to lift a finger at all. Do you mind if I post a few posters in your gym, marketing the efforts? Do you mind if I send you a social media that you can post? We'll tag the gym in it, but if you don't mind popping it on your feed as well, that would be awesome. I literally send them the wording, the Canva, the everything. I print the posters. I hand hang them myself, so I don't have to lift a finger. Like, Rick, that was awesome. She did everything. And it sounds like a lot, but once you get that really dialed in, it's just rinse and repeat, where I literally have an SOP of this is how we do it. Boom. It is 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks. This is how we do it. And it becomes pretty easy, rinse and repeat. Also, when you have reliable, or when you have a system like that, you can see what's working and what is not. We have found we've ran 26 workshops over our time frame and tons more community events. But within that time, we find, hey, this is what works and what doesn't work. But to say, hey, I'm going to do a workshop in 2 weeks, like people probably already have plans 2 weeks out. Frame is important as well. You don't want to be in the middle of when there's other classes going on. We usually try to do right after the last class of the day, so you can catch people that way. And then some efforts before the event, getting in, dropping in, saying, hey, do you mind if I say a word about the workshop? Hey, are you coming to the workshop? It's going to be awesome. Hey, I know you're talking about shoulder pain. Come to our workshop that way. So a little bit of condensed efforts as far as your marketing pre. And then also we'll do some of that post as well to catch any people that we missed along the way with that. But easy sign up to a QR code where it just brings them right to the landing page. And that's been really good as far as that's concerned. But yeah, I think it is something where it is all of those efforts combined is what get people in, and not just to check the box. I think sometimes people say, I ran a workshop, it didn't work. And it's like, did you do all the things to cultivate and to nurture the leads coming in as well as on the tail end of it? Or did you just like show up haphazardly and do the workshop with it? So we think that is important to get people in your workshop. And then going into the meat and potatoes of the workshop, I think it is telling people how you can help them. So I like to do a test retest. Our format is the same every time. It is 4 test retests of different areas that we see could be contributing to the issue. So say it's a bulletproof your shoulder workshop, 4 test and measures that are going to show them, hey, are you maybe a mobility one, maybe a strength one, maybe a thoracic mobility, and then maybe a compound movement, and showing them here's the test. Did you pass or do you need work on it? And then do a prescribed intervention. And then did that improve your test when you do the retest? Yes, dang, they know what they're talking about. My lats were really tight with that PVC to wall. Then I did a loaded eccentric stretch to it. That opened up my shoulder. And making sure that within that workshop, like we almost got too good at showing, like helping people with it. Where it was like, they're like, dang, my shoulder's great. I can lift it behind my ear more. It doesn't hurt anymore. Like, hey, you know what? I know that we can modulate symptoms quickly, but we didn't solve your problem yet. The reason why your lat is tight is because X, Y, and Z. So it is also circling back to that as far as when you're running your workshop is, hey, there's some bulletproof or a shotgun approach to what we are going to be looking at today. So here's some common things that we see that cause shoulder pain. But if you've been experiencing shoulder pain for more than a week, this is not going to solve your problem. We are going to get more into personalized evaluation in order to get to the meat and potatoes or to that root cause of what is causing your pain. So these may be things that are helpful, but if you've been experiencing pain, we need to dive in a little bit deeper in order to solve that for good. So making sure that you're also communicating with them like, hey, these are some things that could be helpful, but this isn't going to solve your problem.
Yeah. So you're starting it off with obviously like an introduction to who you are and all that, but then you're going right into a little bit of the testing, doing like a group activity, showing them that you can create results quickly for them. And then you're going into kind of like, here's why you or why that happened and why you're having this pain. And if you've been dealing with this longer than this period, just know that's like, this isn't the end all be all. You still have work to do to make sure that this is actually done. And then here comes the offer to invite people in to schedule a call with you.
Exactly. Yep. And what we have found, I know there's different strategies with this. We've found that when you have that momentum moving forward with the workshop, is getting people scheduled day of has been really successful for us versus creating more resistance by hopping on a phone call with them. Because it's like one more step versus when they're like, dang, that was freaking awesome. It's like you have all this momentum and then you say, hey, let's chat on Wednesday. Then it's like, I got busy. Hey, it's not that bad. I'm not going to come on in. But if you have this big crescendo to, okay, wow, that was freaking awesome. Let's schedule that right then and there. So for us, we've found it to be better to get them on the schedule, making sure that it's in the week and even the first few days after the workshop to really use that momentum. As you start scheduling beyond a week, we have seen that you get some more cancellations because you've lost that momentum moving forward with it. So it is specifically having blocks on your schedule within those first few days. If your workshop's on a Saturday, hey, let's catch you Monday. And with that, we come with a bit of an entourage. We usually bring our admin. We usually have 1 to 2 PTs as well as our admin there so that we can really have a sound way to get people scheduled. The one downfall to that is we don't have quite as much time to be able to really get into their why and all those different things, but they've seen enough through the workshop that they know that we can help them. And instead of doing that at the end, I usually try to work that into during. So as I'm doing the workshop, we have everybody wear name tags so I know who I'm talking to. And I'm like, hey, Dave, you know what? Like your shoulder is tight. I think part of why your shoulder is sore is because your lats are tight. Here is this intervention. Dang, that gave you a good improvement. But we need to get into X, Y, and Z. This is why that's important. So I'm doing a bit more of that during the workshop, during that little breakout, 5 minutes of them doing the test or retest or type of thing. So I have kind of cultivated that lead and said, hey, you know what? At the end, we're going to be offering half off our initial evaluation. This would be a perfect opportunity for you to come in for me to help you a little bit more with your shoulder. Nice. So I've already prepped the scene. So then afterwards, I know who is likely going to come up to me, or I know who I want to reach out to then afterwards. So if Dave didn't come up to me to schedule his evaluation, I'm going to call him on Monday and say, hey, you know what? Like, how's that shoulder going? How's that workout this morning at CrossFit? Yeah, I can imagine that still bothered your shoulder. Like, did you want to take advantage of our half off? And then you can get a bit more into that if you've lost some people along the way. So after the workshop, I will write down notes about people that I talk to and know that, hey, I might want to reach out to that person specifically to do more of a discovery call, but getting them right on the books then and there has been helpful for us to use that momentum.
I love that. And so you mentioned half off. Are you basically at the end, just offering a 50% off of an evaluation, or what does that look like?
Yep. So that is a good part of the pitch, is that half off the initial evaluation. We did often have people say too, like, well, I wish I was injured so I could work with you. We're like,
Yeah.
injured to work
I
with
know
us.
that.
Like, let's instead change that scene a little bit too. So besides just helping people through injury, we also want to optimize what they're feeling and prevent injury as well, as a big part of our practice. So
Yeah.
during our offer, we talk about not just helping people get out of pain, but feeling the best that they can feel in
Mhm.
years. And so whether they are injured and dealing with something, or they want to come in for a mobility, or even like for us, we treat a lot of CrossFitters. So a CrossFit specific assessment, we offer those two things to catch the people that are like, dang, I came here just to learn how to take care of my shoulders, but I don't have shoulder pain. So how else could I work with you? So yes, the half off has been helpful, and it ends up being still a great lead, as far as you look at the cost for bringing in a Facebook lead versus a half off initial evaluation. Our Facebook voucher is $77. Our half off is 99. We just raised our prices, so a little more than that now, but it is something where it's still a great lead with that half off.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially since you're offering medical fitness training and some performance training. I mean, it's brilliant that you have that two-sided offer in there, so you don't lose out on some of those potential prospects that might not be right now, but maybe in like 3 to 3 months or so. Brilliant. I think you've given everyone listening to this, whether it's on YouTube, in our Facebook group, on our podcast, a ton to digest and things that they can start to work on and improve with their local outreach strategies and how they're actually conducting workshops. If you want us to have another episode where we dive even deeper, specifically on the weeds of what do we say in this workshop? What do we do? How do we transition to the pitch? What do we pitch? And what are all the logistics that happen between the time they sign up there and actually show up to their visit? Put workshops in the comments. We'll follow up, and we can get another one in here. But this is all we have time for here today. So thank you so much for listening. If you got value out of this episode, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel for more content and training on what's working right now to grow and scale cash physical therapy practices. And everyone give Michelle a little bit of love and appreciation for taking time out of her very busy day to come here and support all of you in your efforts with workshops.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle.